everyone. My name is Niall and this is the first episode of TMC, the Mainframe Community, being delivered by Mainframe Society in the United Kingdom. I'm an ambassador with Mainframe Society. I'm also a chairperson for the Waves 101 group in the United Kingdom, and my day job is that I'm employed as a security consultant by Vitali Limited. Joining me here today is Ricki. Ricki, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Ricki West. I'm also a Mainframe Society ambassador. I am the chair for the working group, which is the Waves working group, but for both the UK and the Greater of Europe. And my day job is a sysprog for the Land Registry. So I'm a civil servant.
So today's topic of conversation is going to be about the mainframe skills shortage, mainframe skills gap, but also sort of the topics surrounding that. So we're going to be looking at, if we've got an issue with employment, if we've got an issue with kind of opportunities, maybe how these opportunities are publicised. So this is something that myself and Ricki are quite passionate about. So I'd like to start, Ricki, by asking, do we have a mainframe skills shortage? Would you say that's a fair sort of description?
I'd say it was yes, but in different ways. So a lot of companies will say that there is a skills gap. Now, I find that there might be a skills gap in terms of having the people in the right jobs to be able to do those activities, which is where the skill problem is. Mm-hmm. But it's also the fact that the opportunities aren't there for those skilled people to actually get to that job.
So it's almost a combination of people not necessarily having the skills that they need, but even when they have them, they might not have any opportunity to get employed. So
exactly,
the skills almost at that point possibly wasted.
Yes. So again, it seems like there's a chicken and egg scenario.
Yes.
So it's very much like nobody's getting the skills because there's no jobs, but then nobody's advertising for the jobs because there's nobody to actually get the skills, to actually fill those. So this is where there are a lot of initiatives to actually get those skills in. But now we just need to actually get the opportunities to actually get those jobs, basically, so that way that we can actually have a rolling cycle.
And actually, this is something we did a little bit of research about, isn't it? Because we were actually looking at what opportunities are out there, what initiatives there are, what programs there are, because there are a myriad of different educational resources out there. So I know you're quite passionate specifically about this sort of skills depot and everything interconnected with that. Would you like to go through that with our audience?
Yeah. So with the skills depot, it's an IBM initiative. It's where they've actually, over the years of them creating all this educational material, they've combined it into one vast, sort of almost like
an amalgamation.
Yeah, it's got everything in it, and it's got tracks. So you can have career paths. So if you want to be a systems programmer, you can learn the basics about ZOS, and you can also learn the subsystems that surround ZOS, and that will then go into more advanced topics, and you can go into things like RACF, MQ, DB2, KICS, etc. Then you've got things like the application developer. That's when you'll learn about the ZOS and you'll learn all the basics, but then you'll learn all the programming languages like Rex and Python and Java and assembler, COBOL and SQL. Then there's the modernization architect, which is something that I've not really touched on, but that's focusing on the stuff that businesses would like to do, whether that's like hybrid cloud and things where they actually keep their core business on the mainframe, but take things out into the clouds to make it more modernized. And
so it's not necessarily mainframe away, but it's more using different resources in combination.
Making things actually, things like how the difference between like a mainframe and a quantum computer.
Right.
So a quantum is good at, actually doing number crunching and stuff, whereas a mainframe is good at I/O. So you wouldn't necessarily use a quantum computer to do banking because it's literally moving money from one place to another.
Right.
Whereas you would use a mainframe because it's all about I/O, moving things from one to the other, because it's all about number crunching. So a quantum is all about analytics and actually processing data,
and meteorological
proper crunching of all that sort of stuff, and that's where you have your models and your AI and that sort of stuff in there. And the Skills Depot has a host host of all different sorts of media. So you would do your interactive stuff where you would go and actually log onto a real mainframe and do challenges
With Z Explore, correct?
With the Z Explore stuff. Then you've got stuff like YouTube videos. There's the Interskill stuff. So you would have a license for the Interskill when you go through the IBM Skills Depot.
So that's a good opportunity then for aspiring students who might be sort of tight on money, but are still interested in the Interskill courses. They can actually get that through the Skills Depot then.
Yeah, so there'll be a set skill. I think it's quite limited, but in what you can do. But again, they're on the path, so then you can then get your IBM badges for all your different things, and you can get your IBM qualifications, practitioner badges, and that sort of stuff. And then there's a whole host of other media, whether that's other videos, websites, etc.
They even have 3D modeling, don't they? They have a sort of a demo of Z15s and Z16s, which you can actually kind of open the doors. You can take in sort of remove drawers and take individual chips out. So
so that's good for when you're learning HCD. So you're learning about the hardware and stuff like that. So that way you can literally take a 3D model and look at an OSA card, or look at the actual chips and the drawers and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's quite interesting because then you can actually see what they actually look like in real. Yeah,
and that's, I think, an important point, isn't it? That with the Skills Depot, it isn't limited to just sort of one type of learning style. It's not just just read, write, just kind of kinesthetic, just visual. It's actually kind of all of them in one. You have the opportunity to learn in different ways, and it all kind of coalesces with you. You actually get accreditation as well, don't you? You can get these badges on Credly. You can get certificates. So, you kind of do a mainframe kind of practitioner course. That's part of the IBM Z101 kind of overall learning path. And then that could lead you to a new set of qualifications and sort of accreditations.
Yeah.
So that's really good then if you're interested in sort of expanding your portfolio as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so you could, even if you're on a mainframe, if you are a mainframer, you can still go and learn this other stuff as well. So you can go and learn this the extra stuff to do with, different subsystems that you haven't touched before. If you are new and you want to go and learn, RACF, then, go ahead, you can go and do it. You can go and play. Same as if you want to get into kicks or anything else. It's all there. You just have to go and actually play with it. If you don't have it on your own system, if you say you work on a mainframe, then you could also get access to other vendors' training materials.
So if your employers are a customer, for example, of Broadcom or BMC, for example, you might be able to do some of their specific training courses.
Yes, for those particular products. So you could do things like ACF2 training, TSS training, where you can go and have a look at Control M for BMC, etc. So it's different materials. But a lot of the vendors, you have to be a customer to be able to access it. Whereas with IBM, it's just a free for all.
But there's not just online resources. There's actually multiple other kind of learning opportunities. Correct. So we've got obviously across Europe and across the United States, there are lots of conferences that you can go to. So would you like to touch on any of those in particular?
Yeah. So I mean, you've got the events where you've got virtual ones. So you've got things like the GSC ones. You've got the IBM days. So with GSC, you can have. It happens in earlier in the year, generally just before Easter, and that will be 10 concurrent streams, different technicalities, a whole host of different systems that it's going through, whether that's soft skills, hard, technical stuff, at all different levels across all the different subsystems that we run on a mainframe. So you have that, and that's free. Anyone can access that, and they are all recorded.
Yes.
So you can access them whenever. You've got the IBM Day. That's a single
day.
day,
isn't it?
Yeah. The Z Day, and that's a single. That's a single day, but it's
quite a long day.
It's a long day.
It takes place early until late.
Yeah, so it covers multiple time zones. So if regardless of what time zone you're in, you can see a session.
Yeah. And actually what I quite like about Z Day as well is that if you are inspired by maybe one or two people in particular, statistically, they're actually probably very likely to be doing a session, because with Z Day, they try to get a wide variety of different speakers, and they do, quite a few different topics. So for example, last year I did a topic with Henry Kuiper, and there was also a session by Emma Skurgard. And I think there's a lot of people, who you might find Stephen Perver, Joe Winchester, and that's all kind of great to see these different people talking about different things. Emma's session was amazing. She didn't even touch on DynoFrame, and obviously that is what a resource. The number of tutorials that are available on there and articles. So we are absolutely spoiled for choice with kind of the amount of resources nowadays.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot out there that just doesn't seem to be promoted. It's hard because there is a lot that anyone can do, and it's all there.
Yeah.
You have things like I know that Rui, he has his blog where he has little tips and tricks and stuff, and I use them myself.
They're fantastic,
I always
especially
use them.
for people interested in RecF and security administration.
Exactly, but it's like there's also like general stuff like stuff about JCL and all sorts of different things, whether that's operator commands and things like that. It's just there's basics on there, and sometimes you can't think of how the syntax works. So I just have a look on Rui's blog, and there's so much different media out there. You just need to look.
Yeah.
But we are trying to push it out there to all of our followers, really. Of
course, and that's what this episode is about ultimately, is that there are all these resources, and sometimes you can just forget them, or maybe they're not there when they're publicized. You're on holiday, when they're promoted, you just weren't looking on social media. I know the Z Skills Fest is another great kind of learning opportunity. Generally takes place over 2 weeks. And that's really, really good sort of for students. There's a lot of participation with Your Big Year. So there's a lot of student engagement with the IBM Z student ambassadors. So there's all these opportunities, but obviously, sometimes it's hard to know about them all, and it's hard to find out about them all. So, that's kind of what this episode is, and what we think is important for the wider Mainframe community. And obviously that's what the Mainframe community episodes are going to be about, supporting the wider community.
Yeah. With the UK, us as Waves, both of us, we go to universities to go and help the Z ambassadors to actually, promote the mainframes within their universities and help build them a student society, so that way they can run it and they can actually then have the initiative to actually get going with the mainframe and promote it themselves, and then potentially get a career.
Yeah.
Because it's much better to walk out knowing a niche market and having a plethora of jobs that could be available because everyone is retiring, compared to coming out of university with the same piece of paper and know the same thing as what everybody else does.
And that's a really good point, because there is kind of this oversaturation, at least right now in the UK, where there's so many people having degrees, but maybe not necessarily in a kind of niche specialty, whereas actually something like, being a mainframe systems programmer is something that's so necessary for a lot of companies to survive. But if everyone's got a web development, qualification, it's potentially not transferable. So I think that's a really good point, actually. So on top of all of these resources and events that we've touched on, is there anything else that you think is worth sort of discussing? Is there anything maybe that we as a Mainframe society, maybe Waves, could do to help students? For example, if there are any companies out there who are interested in hiring, maybe they can send their opportunities and we can promote them.
Yeah, I'm quite happy for that. If there's companies that want a shiny new mainframer, then quite happily send us your advertisement, and we will quite happily push it out to the students that we work with, and they can promote it then to their own members within their society. We've got all of our followers on Waves within LinkedIn, and then we've also got MS.
Yeah.
So the Mainframe Society are quite happy to promote new mainframer opportunities, because that's the point. We're supposed to be growing, our community, and we don't want to keep losing people to retirement and not replacing anybody.
Exactly. And that's not the only thing that, you and I have been working on. We've obviously had the student scholarship for GSE UK recently, just in November 2024. Would you like to kind of explain that briefly?
Yeah, so with the Waves student scholarship, so it's where we then get funding from both vendors and from GSE, so we can then pay for a student to attend the conference and their lodging, food, etc. For the entire conference. So last year we managed to secure,
it was a record number, wasn't it?
68 students we managed to fund for the GSE UK conference, and that was, it was really good because we did days with them. They went to all the different sessions 101, and they met so many different people, and there was actually a few vendors that actually offered some of the students potential interviews and career opportunities.
And that's it. It wasn't just educational, but it was also amazing for networking opportunities. And then, like you say, some of those kind of networking opportunities potentially even yielded interviews or maybe even actual jobs. So there's a real value to be gained. And we took that quite seriously. We were trying to sort of provide as much benefit to the kind of next generation of aspiring mainframers as possible.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not just about students, though, but also trainees, because we have an upcoming trainee event focused on primarily focused on trainees, don't we?
Yeah, so we have, so this year, Waves has got a calendar of events. So we have the Waves in-person event, which will be hosted at Barclays. That will be on the 8th of April. The call for papers and registration will be coming out soon, so look out on socials for that. This is where you'll get in-person conference, where you'll have two separate streams, one for 101, so introductory level, and then and side by that we'll have the 102, which will be more intermediate. So that way, depending on whether your specialisms, what they are, whether you're security or SysProg or DB2, etc., you can go into the correct sessions, sort of technical level that actually fits you. We'll also invite some students, some local students to actually attend as well, so they can also do the 101 streams and learn all the intro stuff as well. But you never know if they are, all the way through the skills depot stuff, they might actually be in the 102 because they might actually know a lot more than, you would think they would. Yeah. Because they might actually be quite advanced in RACF or DB2 or something, Yeah, so that's our upcoming event. Well,
it's not just in-person events, is it? We have an upcoming.
We have some. So you've got the virtual GSE event. Yeah. So we'll have the 101 and 102 streams. So they'll be doing there. That's in late April, early May. And then we have our first independent virtual event called the Wave Summer Surf. We thought it would be fun. So that will be an event in August, and that will be spread over the month of August. It will just be a day here and there, and that will again focus on 101 and 102 level learning.
Yeah.
And then you've got the main GSE UK conference, which again, we're going to be doing the scholarship for the students.
Yes.
And we'll be doing our events in the evenings, the same as we normally do.
Brilliant. So that will be, the sort of, we can tie off bookend each day of educational resources, but we still have something fun. So we have, sort of fancy dress maybe, or activities like a pub quiz. So it's not all, sort of hyper professional without any kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important balance, isn't it? We look at, for example, in skill, Darren Searchers talks widely about, kind of gamifying education, granting kind of instead of achievements on, sort of your Xbox, you'd be getting equivalent with credly badges. And I do think that's something, we all need to take seriously, is that education should be kind of fun. We should try to make it engaging and also kind of respect the people, not treating them kind of, patronizingly. So I think, these are all fantastic kind of opportunities and fantastic ventures that we're working towards. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on before we finish?
I just think that, like, with the skills gap, there is still this, with a lot of employers, they still say that they can't employ. Now, we found that there is this opportunity lapse. So there isn't that many opportunities, and if there is opportunities, they're not well promoted within the Mainframe community. Sometimes I can stumble across an opportunity, but I have to go digging for it.
Yeah.
So if anyone of these companies that are actually looking to employ new mainframers, then please reach out to us, and we will quite happily promote it in our circles. Because what we don't want is, positions being filled with seasoned contractors or outsourcing, because then we're still not fixing the problem. Yeah. We're just pushing it down the line.
It's a band-aid rather than
and then we're making it worse, because when those contractors, decide to give up and retire, then all of a sudden we're in a worse position than we were before.
Yeah.
So it's better to actually fix the problem by getting somebody in early, not when somebody's retiring, because when someone tells you they're retiring in 3 months, there is no way in hell
you can pass on 3 months. 30 years of knowledge in 3 months.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you might be able to learn how to log onto a mainframe and actually know around TSO by 3 months, but there is no way that you can take over a seasoned sysprog in 3 months and all of a sudden do exactly what they could do.
And I think that's a really valid and really important point that we want to stress is, by replacing kind of your seasoned, sort of hyper experienced talent who are retiring, by replacing them with maybe contractors or people maybe outsourcing to a third party, and maybe they've got someone who's, kind of only a generation behind, you're potentially deferring that skills gap by 10 years, but you're still not replacing it in the long run. And like you say, in the end, it's going to catch up with you sooner or later. You're not going to have the new talent trained up, and you're not going to have had that old knowledge passed down. Yeah. So it's a really important point to sort of, take it seriously and, think of it in the long term rather than the short term.
Yeah. Because there is a lot of, companies, keep going on about they want to move off the mainframe and things, but a lot of people are actually forgetting how much power the mainframe has.
Absolutely.
It's got all this new technology. You've got AI chips and like the new Telem chips and all that sort of stuff. It's the most securable platform. And people, because a lot of companies are actually forgetting that, or never understood it in the first place. I think that's where a lot of our issues are as well.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the vendors will quite happily promote it, but as a mainframer, it's like it's the way of life, rather than just a job.
Yeah. And I think this is such an important point. The Mainframe community, this series is about that community, and this is it. It's for us. It's not just a job. It's not just a platform. It's our career. It's our way of life, and it's everything that we don't even appreciate sometimes in our just the fact that we go to the bank, we do mobile banking and things work, or we go to a shop and our transactions, we can buy a loaf of bread and it just works. And so this is more than just a job. It's our potentially our entire way of life. So I'm really glad that we've been able to have the time to talk about this today. I think it's a really important topic, and I appreciate your time talking about this. So thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you in future episodes of the Mainframe community. And please stay tuned on Mainframe Society for more content like this. Thank you very much. This is Niall Ashley and Ricki West.
Thank you.